Winning in a romp.
Me too. Yeah, me too. And you know, that's why you just have to be patient. And I always say this is like an episode of Survivor, Neil. And you just got to stay on the island, and eventually people are going to wake up. And this is what happened in Iowa. You know, my daughter and I had a little prayer that my daughter Elizabeth, that if we were in double digits, one poll showed us in double digits before Christmas that we could win Iowa. And people said, well, why is that? I said, well, once people realize that I could win, they'll vote for me. And that's exactly what happened in Iowa. They thought, well, he can actually, he's moving up in the polls. I feel okay, I can support him. And I think that's eventually what's going to happen as this race twists and turns another time, that conservatives are eventually going to come around and saying, we really like him, we can't win, but now it's we really like him, he can win, and that changes everything.
Of course, polls could change on the dime, and Newt Gingrich right now suffering, some say, for whining a lot. I think that's probably the impolitic way of describing it. But then going after Ronald Reagan and how he departed from Reagan's tax hikes in 82 and again in 86, and he drew a big distinction there that he wasn't with the giver all the time. Do you think it backfired?
Well, it's hard to call yourself a Reagan conservative and then not call yourself a Reagan conservative. You know, Ronald Reagan had to do what he did at a very different time in American history than we have today. We weren't looking at GDP at 25% of, excuse me, federal government spending at 25% of GDP. So it was a very different environment.
Would you come to a deal like that, Senator? Would a President Santorum come to a compromise like that would involve? Could you ever envision a situation where you would have to hike taxes, just like Ronald Reagan did?
Well, it all depends on the time, and right now it's a very different environment. We were not at those levels of spending. We are at critically, you know, injurious to freedom levels of spending right now. And I think if Ronald Reagan were running right now, he wouldn't compromise with a deal that would include higher taxes to keep our spending levels well above what historical levels have been. So, no, I think you can't go back and say, well, would I have done it back then? Yeah, I very well could have done it back then, but it was a very different environment than it is now.
You don't mind my deporting it?
She's just a bundle of love, and you know, I just feel so blessed that the one day I was home in the last month was the day that she needed her dad to be home. So I thank God for that I was there when she needed us, and you know, we were able to get her through this crisis at the hospital, and now she's on the mend, and we're hoping that she'll be home in a couple of days.
As are we, Senator. Thank you very much. Good having you on.
Thanks, Neil. Appreciate it. Thanks for the prayers too.
Be well. All right, Senator Santorum, Ron.